Hi, I'm Steve Lentini, your host for Different Thinking for Different Times, Season 6, Episode 8. I do a lot of work with something I call the acorn brain. It's my trademark. And the acorn brain basically is that little voice, that insidious little voice that talks to most of us. I think all, but I'll leave it at most of us. And for some, even 24 hours a day. It might even be interrupting sleep. It might be contributing to restless nights. And here's what you can do. The good news is what you can do about that brain. We're going to talk about that. And then how it ties to what we live in, what I call a miracle, the universe. We call it a universe to give it dimension because our minds, it's hard to fathom something that's dimensionless, that's infinite, that goes on forever. We don't understand that. I keep something next to my desk. It's a marble with the world painted on it, the globe painted on it. You can see all the different countries on it. And it reminds me of just how small we really are. And that we get ourselves all tied up in knots. Something Ben Franklin said was that if your thoughts are all about yourself, if you're very small-minded, you make a very tight bundle. And really, think about that we live in something that's all energy, that energy cannot be destroyed. It can be transformed. And your thoughts have an energy. So let me lay out what you can do about them. First, I'll start with how you recognize them. And then the good news is that you can retrain your mind. So the thoughts we have are formed up until the age of 7, and then every emotional response, every reaction we have to certain people, certain events, up until the age of 35, our brain, our subconscious automatically responds with the same reactions over and over again, unless you retrain your mind. So studies have shown, neural researchers, neurophysicists have shown that humans are programmed from DNA to be negative, that's the default for most people. And the challenge with that is it gets in the way with manifesting what you desire in your life. So if you have a lot of complaints rolling around in your head, or what I call grievances, think of it like an electrical circuit that's overloading. Eventually, the circuit breaker pops. That's what's going on in relation to your energy in regards to the universe helping you manifest what you desire. So if you've got a lot of complaints and grievances rattling around in your mind, you're actually delaying the good that could be on its way to you. You're the delay. So what you can do about it is work on reprogramming your mind. And there's lots of programs today. I'm a PQ coach, a certified PQ coach, along with other certifications that I have. The PQ training helps people take a mostly negative wired brain and turn it into mostly positive. And it takes what I call going to the neuro gym 7 to 10 minutes a day. It could be 4 minutes, very much like brushing your teeth. If you spend 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes in the evening brushing your teeth, think about doing 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes in the evening, reprogramming your mind. And to having some awe and excitement about what's coming to you. Now, physicists have also said that the atoms in the universe, protons, have been impacted by the observer. Imagine that. So as they did different experiments, they found in the same experiments that if there were different people in the room, the protons acted differently. That means our energy is impacting the atomic particles in the universe. Imagine that. You have an influence on others. If you're in a negative mood when you get up, how have your days turned out? Have you found others around you to be upset or grouchy? Have you found yourself maybe reacting in a supermarket or in traffic in a way that is negative? If you put out an energy that's positive, you're going to have more positive experiences. And you're going to attract more positive people around you. And by the way, when you make this change, you may notice certain people dropping out of your life. Negative people love to have others around them that will say, oh, yeah, poor you. Whoa, wow, what happened to you today was awful. Or last week or last month, it was awful. You poor thing. Then they'll often say, now, wait till you hear what happened to me. You think that's bad. They'll go into their own story of woe. That's one way to look at whether you're mostly positive or negative. How would you define the 5 or 10 people that are primarily in your life? Do an inventory. Then start working on your mind. If you notice that you're surrounded by negative people and negative events, you're creating them. You have a role in it. You're accountable. And to be a master of circumstance, rather than the victim who's walking around with the tale of woe, to be a master of circumstance, it starts with taking responsibility and being accountable. You're the one creating your experience. Then as you shift into positive thinking, you'll notice that things around you shift. They'll be more positive. And then you can start to manifest what you dream of. And if you're lamenting that you feel stuck and things aren't showing up, that is you, which is okay, because we're all human. The thing you want to say to yourself is, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time when you recall a lot of negative events or negative people around you. Don't get stuck in more negative thinking and a tale of woe, like, wow, everything I touch doesn't turn out well. No, stop that. Have a sense of humor. Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time, and laugh at yourself. Then start doing some of the following. Number 1, count your blessings. Recap all the different things that occurred in your life, maybe even synchronicities that just showed up. You thought of someone, they called you. You thought of something happening in your life, and then someone came up that said, hey, have you thought of this? How about going here, or come with me to this meeting? And things ended up unfolding that were statistically impossible. But start paying attention to your blessings, number 1. Number 2, have gratitude every day. 3, 4, 5 times a day, as often as you can, by the way. Think about what you're grateful for, because that's an energy that's going to attract like-minded people, people who are grateful, people who count their blessings. Next, begin to look at what you want. Make a list. Some people that I work with, it's easier for them to make a list of what they don't want first, any more of in their life. They make that list, and then they look at it and write more easily the list of what they want, because clearly they can see what they do not want more of. So once you make the list of what you want, get rid of the don't want list and post that what you want list somewhere, and then anticipate it happening. So in your mind, start to visualize those things occurring. Picture it. Picture it in your mind. when you first wake up, daydream once or twice, maybe while you're eating lunch during the day, and then before you go to sleep. And then next, get up in the morning and say this. This is a fantastic day. This is a fantastic day. I wonder what great doors will open today. Now, that turns out to be a little bit of a rhyme. That wasn't my intention. You can say anything that works for you, as long as it starts with, this is a fantastic day. This is a fantastic day. I wonder what life will bring my way, and be ready for whatever shows up, even challenges. Now, that's the other part of this, that as you decide what you want, the universe, the energy that this whole thing we live in, we might be living in an energy realm, right? Without dimension. It will begin to send you what seem like challenges, because many people quit. They quit. They get halfway through something, a quarter of way through something, and it's not working. It seems like it's not working, and they quit. Very often, the universe will test you, especially if you've been negative for 20, 30, 40, 50 years or most of your life. And it's okay. The good news is you can start with this program anytime and start to turn things around. Just persist. I had a coach that used to say, from where you are to where you want to go, you have to persist through the mess in the middle. And she was talking about the challenges that the universe sends. So make sure that you don't think of this as being nirvana. The minute you start thinking positive, don't think of it as Pollyanna nirvana, that you're going to have everything you want at the snap of your fingers. That's not how it works. You may have to be trained by life itself to get from point A to point B. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get what you desire. What it means is, if you persist, you'll be trained by life. The energy of life is amazing. It's a miracle. And when you start persisting and knowing, you continue to know by visualizing that you're on the way to what you want, have some awe and excitement about it, and say to yourself, I'm fearless in the face of challenges. I am fearless in the face of challenges. None of us are beneath anyone nor superior to anyone. There isn't any amount of letters or titles or job descriptions, CEO, president, vice president, director, board of directors, chairman of the board. No titles make us superior to anyone. In fact, when we give up living from the outside in, when we stop looking for validation from the outside, and we begin to live our purpose, and we live it with a passion, that's when things start showing up. You're living from the inside out. So every day you get up and say, this is a fantastic day. I can't wait to see what life brings me. It could be, I can't wait to see what God brings me. I can't wait to see what doors open for me today. I can't wait to see what challenges I'll have to persist through, because I'm going to do it. I'm fearless in the face of challenges. That gratitude and that expectation that no matter what, you're going to persist and you're going to live your passion. You're going to do, and here's another clue, what energizes you. We live in something that's infinitely energetic, that physicists, by the way, don't understand yet. They think they're getting closer. I would say we probably have many more miraculous discoveries before we even get close. And even then, when we think we're close, physicists, all you'll have to ask them is, well, what made that? When they tell us what made the universe. Well, then what made that? we live in something we really don't understand, but it's miraculous when we get out of our own way and we start believing in our dreams, doing what energizes us, committing to be trained by life. That's embracing life as it is. That's my latest book, in fact. It's called In Plain Sight. Embrace life as it is. It's also learn to see what most people miss and embrace life as it is. I also have How to Train Your Mind, written by a dragon. And the reason I wrote Written by a Dragon is I was born in the year of the dragon. So How to Train Your Mind, written by a dragon, program your mind for success. And before that, I wrote No BS Coaching, because we have to figure out the BS stories we're telling ourselves. That's that self-limiting thinking that has you with all kinds of grievances about other people, complaints about bosses, companies, spouses, family members, neighbors. It doesn't matter. If you're walking around with a complaint and a grievance, you're delaying your good. So this is something I wanted to make sure everybody heard. There is a way to train this little voice that tries to run you. And the gift in that voice trying to run you is it's like a toddler in the toy aisle that picks up a toy and says, I want this, mommy and daddy. And you say no. And the toddler goes into a fit on the floor. And you have to carry that toddler out to retrain him, redirect him. That's what you have to do with your mind. Your mind is that toddler on the floor screaming, I want this now. Why is this not happening? Look what they're doing to me. It wants to be trained. It wants you to recognize that you can run that voice. Rainer Maria Rilke in the 1800s called that voice the little hooligan. George Ivanovich Gurdjieff called it the machine. And they both asked a similar question. Will you let that voice run you, or will you run it? That's the good news. And you have to wake up to the idea that life is for you. It's happening for you. It's not happening to you. Life is happening for you. And embrace life as a friend. And I write about it in my book, In Plain Sight, that I just showed you, and How to Train Your Mind. Now, if you have an interest in my books, go to SteveLentiniAuthor.com. Steve Lentini. Here, I'll show you how to spell my name. It's right here on the books. Steve Lentini. Steve Lentini Author at author.com. Steve Lentini Author.com. Now, if you want to email me for free coaching, by the way, the books all have a free coaching offer in them. If you want to email me, Steve at stevelentini.com. I'll give you free coaching. I'm glad to. I'm not going to try to sell you coaching. If after our coaching you said to me, hey, Steve, can I have some more coaching? Sure. Of course, we can talk about that. Not everyone's a fit, of course. And I won't be a fit for everyone. Still, my job in this world is to help people overcome this acorn brain, the little small-minded thinkers. I use the acorn because there's a possibility it could become an oak tree. But it has to leave its shell to become an oak tree. It has to get smashed into the ground. And that's your ego. You have to be willing to let your ego be smashed. Be ruthless with your ego. Because the disease of the human today is being right, wanting to be right. And we can see it everywhere. Religious people, religions, one religion versus another, politicians, one party versus another. They all point the finger at each other because the most powerful thing that they cannot deal with is letting go of being right. What we forget when we want to be right is we're making so many others wrong, and it's a negative energy. And it's keeping us from getting what we want. The way to get what we want is have a dialogue with people. If you have a complaint about someone at work, go to them. You go to the person that can do something about it. You have a complaint about your boss, go to the boss. You have a complaint about the company, go to who can fix it. Whether it's a division head, the CEO, Go somewhere with your complaint. Same with everyday life. You want to rail against government? Go to City Hall, talk to someone, one of your representatives, but you get it out of your head, and then it's not stuck. By the way, it's energetic, and it might bring you to something completely new in your life because you're doing something about it. You're not stuck in that little voice complaining about everyone or railing at people on social media. What a waste of time. What a waste. Have a dialogue with somebody. Don't make people wrong. We see so much of that in social media. So if you have questions, email me, steve@stevelentini.com. I'll show you the book again so that you can know how to spell my name, steve@stevelentini.com. And then stevelentiniauthor.com if you'd like to buy any of my books. And they have coaching opportunities. And if you're listening to this, you can reach out to me for free coaching. I'm glad to help. It's what I do. It's my purpose. That's what I'm talking to all of you about. Following your passion and your purpose. You're here for a reason. You are. But don't take my word for it. Prove it to yourself. Then you own it. All right. Thank you very much. I'm grateful that you stuck around. If you did, don't forget to take me up on my offer of free coaching or buy a book, stevellentiniauthor.com, or email me, steve@stevelentini.com. I'm glad to help. It's what I do.